Know the top stories of the day. Understand the issues that matter. This is Manila Bulletin News on Web. Your quick rundown of top news in the country and around the world. Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Be fully informed. Hi, I'm Barbie Atienza. This is MB Now, and here are your news on web. President Duterte has approved the slight easing of quarantine restrictions in the National Capital Region and the province of Bulacan, as the two areas move to General Community Quarantine, or GCQ, with some restrictions from June 16 to 30, 2021. The Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases has been slowly easing the restrictions in the NCR Plus bubble area. Recently, it allowed the reopening of gyms and fitness centers up to 30% of venue capacity. Historical sites and museums in NCR Plus were allowed to resume operations at 20% venue capacity, subject to safety protocols. 23 other areas were placed under GCQ, where Cavite, Laguna, and Rizal marked with heightened restrictions. 21 areas were placed under Modified Enhanced Community Quarantine, or MECQ, until June 30, 2021, while the rest of the country is under the Modified General Community Quarantine, or MGCQ. Meanwhile, the government will continue to keep the country's borders closed to travelers coming from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and the United Arab Emirates until the end of June as a precaution against the spread of the COVID-19. Around 20 billion pesos will be set aside by the government to procure additional coronavirus vaccines for the country's young population. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez III has assured the public that the government has enough reserves to bankroll the vaccination of 15 million Filipino teenagers on top of the ongoing inoculation program for adult Filipinos. The government earlier allocated around 82 billion pesos for the purchase of 140 million doses of vaccines for 70 million adult Filipinos. The government's vaccination budget was tackled by Dominguez during a meeting with President Duterte and other cabinet members last night. Dominguez said there was no need to worry about the country's vaccination budget for both Filipino adults and the teen population. President Duterte has ordered the arrest of individuals who will present fake RT-PCR test results as travel requirement, saying the country will not overcome the COVID-19 pandemic if this cheating persists. Duterte made the statement following reports of local tourists being busted for faking their swab test results. In his pre-recorded public address on Monday, June 14, President Duterte appealed to the public not to produce fake RT-PCR tests and ordered the Philippine National Police, Department of Tourism, and the local government units to arrest those who are presenting falsified COVID-19 test results, as the country will not be safe if the act continues. According to the president, he knows the people were already tired of staying at home, but urged them not to travel unless the majority of the population has been vaccinated against COVID-19. The Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases has allowed leisurely trips as long as travelers test negative for COVID-19 and will comply with government guidelines. And here is a roundup of news in and around Metro Manila. Let's watch these reports.
Manila City broke its single vaccination record anew on Monday, June 14. Manila Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno-Dumagoso said the city was able to inoculate 25,668 individuals on Monday, beating its previous record of 21,824 last May 29. Dumagoso thanked Manileños for their cooperation with the city's vaccination campaign. The mayor also thanked the Manila Health Department, the city's health workers, and barangay workers. As of June 14, the city has vaccinated 242,977 individuals with the first dose and 111,165 individuals with the second dose. Pasay City, where a spike of coronavirus disease cases started in March, has declared that only 30 of its 201 barangays have active cases. In the latest tally of the City Epidemiology and Disease Surveillance Unit, or CESU, as of Monday, June 14, the city logged a total of only 46 active COVID-19 cases, with 10 tagged as new cases. Currently, the city government said that 171 barangays are COVID-19 free. This is far from the city's figures during the surge of infections in March, which according to Mayor Robiano reached as high as 1,200. Robiano cited aggressive contact tracing efforts in the drop of COVID-19 cases. The local government of Quezon City will put up air quality monitoring sensors to determine the pollution levels. The sensors will measure pollutants such as the most dangerous particulate matter, or PM 2.5, which comes from the emission of cars, trucks, and industrial facilities. Mayor Joy Belmonte received 8 units of air quality sensors and the roadmap for Quezon City's air quality management plan from Clean Air Asia and C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group through its C40 Air Quality Technical Assistance Program. In the next 2 months, the monitoring sensors will be placed in areas with high public risk of air pollution exposure. The city identified some monitoring sites such as areas in Novaliches, Santo Domingo, and Quezon Memorial Circle.
And now let's take a look at the latest news in other parts of the country. Here are the details.
The city mayor of Kidapawan on Monday has expressed his disappointment over the vaccine allocations and asks that the city be given their share. In a video message posted on Monday, Kidapawan Mayor Joseph Evangelista said that it pains him as a mayor to read in newspapers that other local government units, especially those in the National Capital Region, are starting to vaccinate those under the A4 category, while Kidapawan City is still vaccinating those who are in A2 category. He added that the city has complied with all the conditions, including the putting up of vaccination hubs and hiring of doctors and nurses, yet the vaccine supply in the city is still lacking. About 368 patients have recovered from COVID-19 in Region 12 or the Soxargen region as of Monday night, the Regional Health Office reported. Out of the total recoveries, 132 came from South Cotabato, followed by Sultan Kudarat with 105, General Santos City at 77, and North Cotabato with 54 recoveries. In a report, the DOH in Region 12 said that all local government units in the region are implementing granular lockdowns in their villages with a high number of COVID cases, which they find necessary as of the moment to control the spread of the virus. Jeepney and multi-cab passenger vehicles are giving free rides to health frontliners in Malang, North Cotabato. The Malang Transport Cooperative or Matransco said on Tuesday, the free ride services are the association's contribution to the fight against COVID-19 on top of strictly observing the minimum health protocols. At least 25 passenger jeepneys and multi-cabs are participating in the program aimed at easing the burden of the frontliners who travel daily from home to hospitals and other medical facilities in the adjoining towns of Tuluan, Malang, and Matalam.
Now for the news updates from around the world, here is that reports.
The World Health Organization warned Monday that COVID-19 was moving faster than the vaccines and said the G7's vow to share 1 billion doses with poorer nations was simply not enough. Global health leaders also warned the pledge was too little, too late, with more than 11 billion shots needed. Faced with outrage over disparities in job access, the Group of 7 industrialized power pledged during a weekend summit in Britain to take their total dose donations to more than 1 billion, up from more 130 million promised in February. In terms of doses administered, the imbalance between the G7 and the low-income countries as defined by the World Bank is 73-1. Many of the donated G7 doses will be filtered through COVAX, a global body charged with ensuring equitable vaccine distribution. The trial of deposed Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi was expected to hear its first testimony Monday, more than 4 months after a military coup ousted her government. Near-daily protests have rocked Myanmar since the general's February 1 push. On Monday, her defense team was set to cross-examine witnesses over charge she improperly imported walkie-talkies and floated coronavirus restrictions during last year's elections that her National League for Democracy party won in a landslide. Her lawyers, who was been allowed to meet her just twice since she was placed under house arrest, have said they expected the trial to wrap up by July 26. Hearings will take place every Monday. If convicted of all charges, Suu Kyi will face more than a decade in jail. India's top tourist attraction, the Taj Mahal, will reopen on Wednesday, the government said 2 months after it was shut as nearly surge in coronavirus infections swept the country. Cases and deaths in the vast nation of 1.3 billion people soared to record levels in April and May, with state and national authorities imposing lockdowns and other restrictions to stem the spread of the virus. Infections have declined in recent weeks, with major cities including the capital New Delhi and the financial capital Mumbai lifting some curbs on movements and activities. COVID-19 precautions mean visitors would not be allowed to touch the shining marble mausoleum, an Archaeological Survey of India official said Monday.
And now for the latest news in showbiz, let's watch this.
Smooth like butter indeed. K-pop boy band group BTS, the biggest boy band group, has reached another milestone as their single Butter tops the Billboard Top Hot 100 for the third consecutive week. Butter's record is currently tied with Dynamite, which the BTS released in August last year. Butter also garnered 24.6 million radio airplay audience impressions as of June 13, an increase of 10% from 22.4 million impressions last week and up by 36% from 18.1 impressions in its debut. Billboard added that Butter maintained its #1 spot on the digital song sales chart for the third straight week, and it is now 19th on streaming songs from 10th last week and 28th on radio songs from 32nd last week.
Now here are the latest news from Manila Bulletin Sports section. Let's watch this.
Kyrie Irving has been ruled out of the Brooklyn Nets' crucial Game 5 of their NBA playoff series against the Milwaukee Bucks after suffering a sprained right ankle. Irving was injured during the second quarter after a collision with Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Bucks and Nets are tied at 2-2 in the best-of-7 match-up. Coach Steve Nash said on Monday that he had no idea whether Irving, who left the arena on Sunday on crutches, would be fit to play later in the series.
And those are the news on Web today, June 15, 2021. For more news and details, get your copy of the Manila Bulletin newspaper tomorrow, or you can log on to www.mb.com.ph. You may also subscribe to our newsletter through the link on this video's caption to have the day's latest news delivered to your inbox. I am Barbie Atienza for Manila Bulletin. Join us again tomorrow. This has been MB Now. Be fully informed.